What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle. My name is Splattercat. We are here today with the next episode of Unrest. In the previous episode, we had taken over some of the orders for Shyam, and unfortunately things had not gone so well for Shyam. It appears as though the rebels have overwhelmed the walls. They didn't really explain anything, but I suppose we can guess from what's going on over here that the rebels or the loyalists have overtaken the walls. It appears as though there's none of our soldiers are left. There's the sign of scuffles and dirt all over the place. Unfortunately, we're going to have some kind of tile specialist come back in to make sure that this odd mold growing on all of our floors is gone after the war has ceased. But up until then, mold is fine. Mold is not a principal concern in times of war. Talk to the Capitan. Congratulations, you finally kicked this festival off. Me and my boys have had all the killing we could carry away in a basket. Now you get to finish this off by taking Vijay's head. You know, it's almost enough to make me like you. Thanks, I guess. Princess Vantage has come back. We murder a lot of people. She gets her throne back. Something to tell the grandkids, huh? Of course, they'll probably only care about the killing parts. That's my favorite too, so fair enough. That captain, everything he said, this guy strikes me as just like a hard ass. Almost a little bit of a psychopath, to be honest. He's in the perfect line of work, as he really does seem to enjoy killing fools. Kanika. I'm impressed. You're here for less than a month and this whole vile government has been destroyed. I foresee a bright future for you, Asha. Vijay's had this day coming for a long time. He has indeed, so what are you waiting for? Go. Finish this thing the right way. Yeah, you can't leave a whole lot of loose ends when it comes to these old medieval power struggles. You gotta take everybody out. You gotta do it in front of the whole court, too. So I don't actually... Both in terms of pragmatism, I'm probably not going to be showing a whole lot of mercy up here coming along, because my principal goal right now, playing from Asha's perspective and trying to roleplay from Asha's perspective, is going to be keeping her and her progeny alive for as long as possible. And so in order to secure your empire, well, sometimes you got to break a few eggs, and so unfortunately we're going to make some unpleasant decisions here. Do what you feel is necessary. The empire is waiting. So Rhea is already... If it pleases the queen, I have a report on how the city fares. Don't trouble her with reports. This is the moment of triumph. She doesn't need a list of dry details. I'm gonna get Louis the 13th about this and actually get engaged. I rather think I do. I'm queen and I should act like it. As expected, our false riots sparked a few real ones. More than a few, actually. Everyone had known the Slums were just waiting for an excuse to riot, but I don't think any of us were really prepared for the spectacle once it began in earnest. We all thought J-Deep would be redirecting things, but we hadn't even seen his boys on the streets. Nobody knows what happened to them. Someone said something like they were all stricken down by disease, but that doesn't seem likely. Oh, I forgot about that. We poisoned the grain. As far as our end goes, we lost a lot of people when Kalyan's mercs turned on you, and the guards have had time to regroup. We could be doing a lot better. The sooner you could take care of Vijay and convince the city's military that you're in power, the better. Shyam did send a lot of his men to go deal with the riots. We were counting on him just strengthening the defensive line. It's weaker than we'd expected and had a lot more holes. Give it to me honestly, what can we expect? We called off our riots and J-Deep wasn't around to make some of the rest worse or to direct them up to stay in the slums. Shyam's boys want in to deal with those, and with the street gangs who sprang up when JD's men disappeared... Wait a minute, hold on. I think I read that wrong. Shyam's boys went in to deal with those, and with the street gangs who sprung up when JD's men disappeared, but the gaps in his defensive line have let a lot of angry people through. We're dealing with that as best we can, but Kalyan's coup really thrashed us. It'll be a while before we get some order back. But everything will improve, won't it? You know what to do, Asha. Go to it. We'll all be waiting for you to emerge from the palace. Don't think any one of us have been waiting for this day as eagerly as you, my queen. We've all been proud to serve you. And yet we're still wearing, like, street rags. We need to get some real clothing on here. We need to be looking nice. We need to be looking imperious. We need to be looking lovely, shining, golden. We need a chain with some spinners on it. We have him, Asha. At last we have him, the gutless wretch who ordered his men to stand down and let the royal assassin do his work. He's a veteran of many conflicts, a leader of men, and a conspirator of Vijay's who's been allowed too much control of the city for too long. Even now, his mercenaries are most likely slaughtering your loyal fighters. How will you sentence him? Let's see here. Honestly, if we could put him on our side right now, that actually is really kind of a good idea. He did have a part in our parents' assassination. He told his men to stand down while it happened, but he was paid to have them stand down. He's a mercenary. At the end of the day, he didn't do this for any personal reasons. It's all for money. If we can buy him out, that's a military force that we could desperately use right now in order to take control of everything. And I do like Shyam. I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of role-playing outside the box here. I might be metagaming slightly. Are you certain, Princess? He's a dangerous man and a guilty one. I can think of no reasonable grounds for allowing him to live and threaten your regime. And like I said, I see that right. He's a mercenary. He's just hired muscle. You don't blame the minion for doing what the master ordered. At least, like, if the minion gets killed in the process, he gets killed in the process. He knew the risks, but you blame the master for everything that happened. Let's go with the top order. I only bring this up because today is important. You've been looking forward to this for a long time. Today is where the story of betrayal and righteous vengeance ends. If we can buy him out and keep him on our side, though, that's a lot of soldiers. That's a lot of soldiers that we can actually use. And they're trained killers, too. None of our militia are trained killers. They can actually train our militia, too. I mean, he's been bought out before, so this might be a really, really bad idea, but I don't know. I'm willing to take the chance on it. Why did you have to come here? My work was finally beginning to pay off with peace, and you started city-wide riots. Why? So you could get to me, so you could dig up the throne and sit on it? Are you really that confident that you could do a better job running the city than I can? People are rising up because of what you did, not because of what I did. I am the rightful queen. And they weren't too happy with the last rightful queen, were they? People don't love kings and queens. They don't love you. They don't love me either. They love having food to eat in a city they can trust. I've done a lot more for this city than your parents did, and it still hasn't been enough. They didn't need convincing to turn on your parents, but it seems you convinced them to turn on me. It's a pity I won't be alive to see them turn on you. You have no right to talk about my parents like that. The people never turned on them. You did. Asha, you were a child. You saw your parents through a child's eyes. To you, they were strong, wise, kind, and patient. But good rulers don't attract angry mobs to their palace doors. Good rulers don't sign treaties that spark riots. Good rulers don't let lunatics like Ronvir get influential, and failing at that, they have the grace to appease him. Good rulers don't let their peasants burn down the houses of their nobles. Your parents were disastrous for Bimra. If I hadn't stepped in, this city would be in ruins. Let's see here. I believe that you've told yourself that, and I don't see the proof. And what, killing them was your only option? Killing me was your only option? Or we can have killing my parents, or maybe they weren't perfect, but you haven't fixed much either. I think it's the top option, to be honest. Because from what I understand about that treaty, it was about to make peace with the Naga Empire, who was then going to ship food over, and things were going to get better. It was just going to be... Economic progress doesn't happen overnight. That's a sad fact of economics, is that it doesn't happen within a week. It doesn't happen within a year. Usually it takes a good 5-10 years to really see the long-term effects of what's been happening, and things were going to get better. I believe that you've told yourself that, and I don't see the proof. The fact that the city still stands when even on the day your parents died it was on the brink of collapse should be enough. But the fact that you were a child then and you are barely more than a child now... No proof will ever be enough for you. We'll all tell ourselves stories about who is right and who's wrong. Believe me or don't, there's nothing I could do either way. You killed my parents and I'm the rightful queen. Of course I'm right. And what, you haven't just told this story about my incompetent foolish parents to make yourself feel better? I suppose you think I turned on your family casually, selfishly. Frankly, I doubt it bothered you much for you to be so glib with me beforehand. Would you listen to me if I told you otherwise? Would it even matter? No, the only reason you're offering to try is to save your own ass. Well, let's see what he has to say. I'm curious. I mean, I personally would have already given him the axe, but because I'm a video gamer, playing a video game, I'm going to see what he has to say. Your parents weren't just the king and the queen, they were my king and queen. I wanted to believe that they could save us. That was the story I'd been told ever since I was a child, and I wanted it to be true so badly that even as an adult, it took me a long time to face the truth. I didn't want them to lose the power. I didn't want to kill them. Last of all, I didn't want to kill you. Least of all, did I want to kill you. There we go. Sorry, these words are all flipping around in my head on me. But you did anyways. I don't think I've ever done something that caused me more pain than ordering your parents' deaths. Even when I heard you were alive this morning, I felt fear and relief all at once. I didn't want you to be dead, just like I didn't want Bimra to fall. Just like I don't want to die without seeing it recover. So what would you have me do? You started the riots. You can't stop them. Do whatever you want. This city is your responsibility now. I understand. I'm going to have to put you to death, Vijay. However I've hurt you, whatever I've done, it was all for the sake of Bimra's people. Can you say the same? Absolutely. You're a loose end now. Unfortunately, you're 100% a loose end. You tried to overthrow... You threw a coup already. How do I know you're not going to throw a coup the second I stop doing this? You have followers. I have to kill you. Otherwise, you could rally them together later on. This is how medieval politics work. You chop the head off the snake, and then you chop the rest of the body up, too, because that's how medieval politics worked. I'm proud of you, Asha. You've done much with little time and few resources. I don't trust Avinash either, even though he is family. This whole storyline has made me incredibly paranoid about everybody. I'm also second-guessing my decision with Shyam right now. In case you're screaming down in the comments at me like, why would you do that? I'm second-guessing my decision about Shyam right now, too. I'm just hoping that they do this the way that I personally would do it in real life. I'd buy him out, I'd have him train my soldiers, and then I'd cut his contract and have him leave and go somewhere else after the fact. Let's see here. Have you been there behind me this whole time? I've always been behind you, Asha, and I always will be. There's so much work to be done yet, but the rightful ruler has regained his throne. Her throne, the throne. Bimra's troubles are soon to end. Off we go then. You are a priestess of Bankamundi. You are and have been a spy for Jalesh. You are not alone. It's difficult to believe Asha's coup was only 1 week ago. Jalesh, one of the Naga who's made it through all this along with Rhea, hasn't stopped moving in that time. Perhaps he's afraid of what will happen if he does. He's needed information, and gradually the veil between him and his many paid informants has begun to fray. Especially the good ones. The parcel's already changed hands, but he's got something else to say. Jalesh pays well for a pair of eyes in the right place, so we're a paid informant. Queen Asha never did approve my list. Looks like some of these people are gonna be here for a while. Let's see here. So Asha didn't take care of the list. So if you remember, Jalesh offered us a list beforehand where he could make sure that, I think it was, what was Jalesh gonna do? I think it was in return for making sure the Naga were safe after she took power, he was going to supply us with all manner of sundries and supplies to keep us alive after the fact or something like that, and so apparently she's neglected that contract. I mean, I told him that we'd get together with him after the conflict was over, but I guess that didn't happen. It's unfortunate because I manage my affairs better than that IRL. If I give my word to somebody that I'll meet them or I'll have a meeting with them, I try to do so come hell or high water, but, you know. Asha really should have gotten some of these people off the street. Your latest report is worrying. It was only a matter of time before Ranveer groomed a successor. Now, even if we wanted to assassinate him, it wouldn't help. It doesn't really matter. Ranveer isn't the cause of this hatred. He's just the most visible sign. Trust me, I'm not going back into the slums. Once the Naga gangs found out Jaideep's boys weren't there to keep order, I have to say I'm disappointed. I really thought we could be better than this. It was just a few settled scores, not a full-scale massacre, or you say, yeah, you think they'd seen enough killing. Nobody's better than this. If anyone did the right thing, this would have happened. Honestly, you can't reprisals when it comes down to, like, racial issues and things like that. It's gonna happen either way. I mean, if there's one thing life has told me, it's that ignorance always wins the day when it comes to violence and turmoil. It was just a few settled scores, not a full-scale massacre. Things are tense wherever you go, mind you. The riots did a lot to scare the nobility, even though as far as I'm aware, not one noble died as a result of them. The city is tensing for another big riot. I don't know if it'll happen or not, but it is tensing. I suppose it all depends on how Bimra's fortunes fare. Alright, so just tell me what you're getting at. It's coming time for the Naga in the city to make a decision. We've got one option we haven't exercised yet. Rhea was always threatening this city with invasion. With her, it was an empty threat. Nobody wanted to help the slum Naga, so why take the risk? But I have discovered some influential Naga in the slums, and the city is weak. I think we can make a case for an invasion after all. If the Empire declared war, every Naga in the city would be culled. Forget it. Okay, so that would be it. After all, we've bled and sacrificed to make this alliance work for your Empire. You're going to invade. I won't disagree. I've done my best to help the Naga this playthrough. I mean, I have made a few decisions just kind of casually just to see what would happen if I didn't. Not out of any real spite or anything. So that would be it. I'm going to go with the middle option. I don't think anybody wanted an invasion. The appearance of a Naga army on the borders is going to be bad for any of our people inside the walls. It all comes down to whether we think things are going to get better on their own. I think they will. You just have to be patient. Well, I suppose that wouldn't put us in a very different position than the humans, really. Everyone in Bimra, peasant and noble, human and Naga, are fighting to see another year. More than anything, I miss the days when anything at all was simple. You want to know what I think is going to happen? Sure. I think this city is going to have a horrible, horrible year. And I think it's going to get better, or it's going to perish, but I don't think any invasion is coming to save us. When I went to Asha's camp, there was a feeling there like she could do no wrong, like she would sweep in and retake the throne and all would be well again. I couldn't tell any of them otherwise, even if I'd wanted to. When you get lost in a happy story, all the other details and consequences are nothing, and anything becomes possible. And now, having seen what I've seen out here, I'm torn between craving that feeling and never wanting to come near it again. Yikes. Oh, that's it? Is this the first chapter then? Is this kind of like the Banner Saga where you get the first little... Oh, wow, that ended way sooner. I'm a little bit terrified right now. Well. What does this do? Oh, we can go back and forth to see the developers. Okay, I'm gonna let the credits roll. My name is Splattercat. Thank you for joining me as we play through this very pleasant storyline experience of Unrest by Pterodactyl Games. They've done an incredible job at making a game that really just sets you ill at ease the entire time. There is no right or wrong action in this game. There's just a whole lot of moral relatives. And I think that once you start getting into the uncles and aunts of the whole thing, it becomes kind of a slippery slope. I hesitate to use such a cliche term, but in a lot of cases I felt like no matter what you did in this storyline, bad things were going to happen. I didn't feel like with The Walking Dead, you know the same thing's going to happen every time no matter what you choose. With this game, it's like different things happen, but they are all unanimously bad outcomes, and so you very much feel like you're trying to climb uphill and sliding down like the hill is made of sand or something the entire time. I do want to thank Pterodactyl for allowing me to make videos on this. They don't have to do that. A lot of you don't know this, but when it comes to games on YouTube, the developers can stop me from making videos, and they can cause me intense legal harm if they want to. And so it was very nice of them to allow me to showcase their game, and it was my pleasure to do so. This was a very, very good game. If you're into storyline-based games that don't have a whole lot of action or anything like that, but really tell a great story, this is a fantastic game for you. I look forward to seeing you all whenever the game comes out with maybe the second chapter. It looks like that's the way it's going to be going from here on out. But until that happens, I will see you all there. Take care out there, everybody. Thank you one more time to Pterodactyl, and I will see you all in whatever we decide to do next.